Am I the a-hole for kicking my ex-boyfriend out after he euthanized my dog? To get started, I mid-20s have been with my ex-boyfriend late 20s for about 1.5 years, and he moved in with me a few months ago. Anyways, I have had a senior chihuahua Cinnamon or Cinnamon for the last 15 years of my life. She was my whole world because she was part of key moments growing up in my life. I have a very difficult job to get time off, and about a week ago I noticed Cinnamon had a lump on her middle stomach area and got a vet appointment as soon as possible. I was unable to get time off to take her, so I asked boyfriend to take her and he agreed. I gave him my card to get whatever test they needed to do. I told him to call me when he found out anything. I took a late lunch to give him a call. I called him and no answer. Okay, maybe he's still at the vet doing tests. I got home at around 6 p.m. and he was in the living room kind of just sitting there with the TV on. I asked what the vet said and where Cinnamon was. He didn't really look at me. He told me the vet said it was cancer and it wasn't going to get better, but he had them put Cinnamon down to prevent suffering. I froze. I didn't understand what he was saying to me, and I only managed to get out, "You what?" And he repeated what he said. I started screaming/sobbing at him. He got defensive, saying that what he did was for the best. I screamed at him to get out now, and after some more choice words, he sped off in his car. I don't want to get into what happened after I left, and it's still so hard to top out now. In the morning, I had a bunch of texts and calls from him. I didn't respond. I emptied out some plastic storage tubs and started packing all of his items. After I was finished, I put the tubs on the side of the house by the garage and texted him to collect his stuff. He arrived about an hour later and was banging on the door saying I was being dramatic and it was just a dog. I think he is going to be staying with his parents, but I'm not sure. I managed to get hold of the vet, and by some miracle, they hadn't gotten rid of the toxic waste yet, and I was able to get Cinnamon cremated. I go to pick her up in a couple days. I can't stop thinking about if what I did was right. I can't forgive X for what he did, but maybe I went a little crazy kicking him out right there and then. So am I the a-hole for kicking him out and putting his stuff outside? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. It was just a dog. I would love to see your Rex explain that to John Wick. I felt like I could go John Wick on him. Me and my closest friends and family are having a little goodbye party for Cinnamon when I get her back. I am so very sorry for you. The worst health decisions I've ever had to make regarding my dogs have revolved around cancer. I just can't believe that he made that decision without even bothering to talk to you. I'd say that you dodged a bullet with regards to your boyfriend. He told you a whole lot about himself. Good for you for kicking him out ASAP. Godspeed, Cinnamon. You're a beloved friend and you will be missed. Not stay home. This is freaking garbage. He absolutely should have contacted you before he made a decision. There would have been no reason to rush and do it when you couldn't be there. Even if your pet was in pain, a veterinarian could have prescribed meds to keep Cinnamon comfortable until he could say goodbye. This man has no heart. Let him leave. Just a dog is bullcrap. Sounds like he was jealous of the dog. The cancer diagnosis was shocking to me. Yes, Cinnamon was getting up there in age, but she was still eating/drinking/going potty/being normal since I found a lump. The vet confirmed with me when I called that it was a fast-acting cancer, but she could have gotten pain medicine for at least a couple weeks until she started getting uncomfortable. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for blowing up at my husband for sending his family a picture of our newborn? Me, female 27, and Phil, male 32, have been married for 3 years. We both have families who want to be first and everything. Phil read me an article about boundaries and encouraged me to set boundaries for both families. I agreed, and we made progress. As the birth of our son approached, we handled the family's requests. Both moms wanted to be in the room. We said no. Both dads wanted the first photo with the baby, but we said no till they agree. Both families wanted to be at the hospital to see our son, but we said no, then agreed to host a gathering on Tuesday, where both families get to see our son at the same time for the first time. No pictures, posts, or video calls till then, since I needed to recover. Everything was going well. It started when Phil secretly took a picture of our son and sent it to his family. It blew up. Everyone tagged everyone on Facebook. Mom and family saw not only the picture, but posts my in-laws made saying we won in the end, or our grandson chose us, and 1-0. Then mother-in-law lied about taking the picture herself at the hospital. Mom called crying, saying Phil leaked and shared picture of our son and violated the agreement both families had. Dad said that on top of the defeat, they had to deal with the propaganda and emotional stress from in-laws. I was fuming. I asked Phil if he sent his family a picture of our son hours ago. He said, jokingly, yesn't. I blew up at him saying we had an agreement. And me and family respected it, but he and family on the other hand were humiliating my family, ruining their joy, and rubbing the fact that they got to be the first to see our son in their face. He said, so what? A family should quit being overdramatic when things don't go their way. I said his family are the ones with the overdramatic, passive-aggressive attitude. I showed him every post and tag they made, and asked if he'd be happy if my family did this. He scrolled for a couple minutes nodding and looking impressed. He said all he did was innocently send Mom a picture since she wouldn't stop calling, hassling and begging him for one picture. I said he still violated our agreement to not share photos till Tuesday, and this way his family will never respect the boundaries we try to set. I asked if those boundaries were just for my family to keep them at arm's length while obviously favoring his. He said, that's my son. I have the authority to send a picture of him to whomever I please, okay? Your family? The entire lot of them can either shut the hell up and get over it, or wait for your sister to miraculously give them a baby. We argued some more, and I refused to drop it. He said I overreacted, blew his joy, and made a big deal out of it just because my family has nothing better to do than cry woe is me, and wrapped up by saying it clearly was enmeshed, too deep in the fog and needed to cut the damn cord already. I'm thinking it might have been harsh. Am I the a-hole? Context. Phil doesn't have the best relationship with my family. He thinks they are controlling, and tries to exclude them from events while letting his family get involved in everything. He's not always home due to work at the local police department, but he still controls what events my family should/shouldn't attend. Also, my sister is infertile. The way Phil said miraculously hurts me on her behalf. Not the a-hole. For the record, I think both families, including you and your husband, making a competition out of baby milestones is really dumb. This is a child here, not a badminton tournament. Posts my in-laws made saying we won in the end, or our grandson chose us and 1-0. This is so messed up, and shows they have no concept of your son as a human being. I didn't read in the post that Opie and husband made it into a competition. I felt like their parents did that on their own. But otherwise, I agree with your comment. The grandparents are vile and unhinged. The husband is dismissive of Opie, who is, reasonably, upset that a boundary was violated. And the entitlement of the husband to break this boundary because of a sense of ownership over the son/photos is gross. Poor Opie, but what on earth is wrong with all the people in her life? Honestly, I'd be beyond pissed. Glad you're so happy they got to see the picture first. I need some time away from you. Me and the baby are going to stay with my parents for a while. If he thinks Opie should be happy about his parents gloating about being chosen, then I'm sure he will just be thrilled that Opie's parents get to spend so much time with the baby. Maybe I'm doing petty revenge here, but if my hubby acted like that, first chance I'd get, I'd pack up some stuff and take my kid to my family for a few days and post pictures of them on Facebook. Let my kid meet my family, as I would not let my partner get away with talking to me like that. Edit to add, I thought I'd do an edit. I am not encouraging Opie to take and disappear with her baby forever. Can't believe I need to clarify this. But Opie needs to sit down and think, is this as toxic as it sounds to a lot of us? I would also like to say, I'd only encourage anyone to take their child on a permanent basis if the child was in danger. Then I'd say go to a women's hostel, etc. Have you spoke to your husband about his controlling ways? Is your family controlling as your husband seems to think they are? Have they exhibited any worrying behavior? Also, ignore any trolls. I actually thought about doing that, especially after how he talked about my family. He even stopped me from sending them a picture later. Next story. Am I the a-hole for backing out of cooking for my dear husband's guest after he told me, do your job? My husband and I both work, equal hours. I'm a hairstylist working at a salon, and he's a warehouse manager. My mother-in-law is very old-fashioned and lives in the 1950s still. She said women can't stop taking care of their households as a priority, no matter what they achieve. I hated this, and it caused endless problems between us. My husband learned to do everything from folding his clothes to fixing the toilet, except cooking. His mom taught him that his future wife should do everything, so he didn't have to learn. He defended me against her and cut contact with her. She hasn't participated in a gathering since 2015 due to family not wanting her around. My husband cleans while I cook, but he tends to complain from time to time and throw some weird beliefs/opinions at me that are similar to what his mom thinks. I get it since he's been raised by her, and this mentality takes time to go away. Last week he had guests over and asked me to help him host dinner. We agreed that I cook and he clean like always. Guests arrived and my husband sat with them while I was at the kitchen cooking. I had issues with the oven. I was running late and dinner wasn't ready yet. My husband rushed into the kitchen asking why dinner wasn't ready yet. I said I'd be done soon. He grabbed a few glasses while pressuring me to hurry up. I made a comment about how I didn't even get to meet his guests and how unfair it was, but he just casually said, "Just do your job," and rushed out. I was shocked. I stopped him and asked, "What did you just say to me?" He looked at me quizzically. I turned the oven off and stopped cooking. He was freaking out, saying, No, wait, what are you doing?" while I take my apron off. I said I don't work for him to tell me to do my job, and he should take over cooking if he thought I was slow. He begged me not to do this to him, and explained he didn't mean to tell me to do my job, but only spoke this way since he's used to say stuff like that at work and wasn't paying attention. I refused to continue cooking, and went upstairs to wash the smell of onion off me. I left him in the kitchen to handle serving dinner on his own, and he came upstairs 2 hours later after the guests left and looked an absolute mess. Hair messed up, and a shirt stained. He asked if I was happy and proud of proving a point by backing out of cooking last minute, just because he slipped and accidentally said, "Do your job." I told him that he's an adult and is responsible for what comes out his mouth, accidental or not. And again said I didn't have to cook for his guests and that I only volunteered to help, and he sounded like his mother with what he said. He said it wasn't true, and that he was disappointed because I didn't stick to my word and left him to fend for himself and embarrassed him in front of guests by giving them half-cooked meals over something so dumb. He walked out after changing his clothes and called me mean. He wants an apology for backing out last minute knowing he can't cook. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. It's past time for him to learn to cook, because it's not your job. He owes you an apology. Also show him this post. Exactly, it is not her job. He should be the one apologizing, not Opie. Not a-hole. Good for you for not putting up with your husband's crap. There is a fundamental truth in your relationship. You know how to cook and he doesn't. That means that when it comes to cooking, you have a value. He doesn't. And as you just showed him, you are in a position of power. He needs to appreciate what you do for him, not take it for granted and bark out orders to you. I will say this. He will remember this lesson. If you had backed down at the last minute, he would have taken it as you would back down if he pushed you hard enough. Now he knows you mean business, and you will not be pushed around, and you will not be treated like a servant. A marriage is a partnership, not a corporation where one person is a boss. The correct way for him to act is to show you gratitude for the efforts you put into that night's gathering. Hello. Yes, I agree with your opinion. Also, I admit I'm the type that gets easily offended, so yeah. I might have went a bit over the top. Not stay home. Just because he accidentally said what he was pretty obviously thinking. Right. And then he has the nerve to be more worried about saving face in front of his buddies than mistreating his own wife. So he blames you. He is the problem here. Now for the last story. My boyfriend and I talked about salary for the first time, but he feels upset I was hiding mine. I have been dating Joey for 7 months. And I never felt like I was trying to hide how much money I make. I do engineering, and I'm making $130,000 salary. It's pretty standard for people who do what I do with my experience. My friends in the same industry make similar money. My day-to-day life isn't too flashy. I have a small apartment that I pay $700 monthly rent for. My hobbies are mostly athletics that don't require a lot of money past the initial gear cost. I ride my bicycle or rollerblades almost everywhere, for fitness, instead of driving most days. My car is 10 years old, and I really only use it for heavy errands or trips out of town. I enjoy thrift shopping and secondhand sales, because I don't think fast fashion or overconsumption is cool. When I travel, I like camping at campgrounds or staying at hostels, for the social aspect. Overall, I don't live a very flashy life, and I feel like status symbol belongings are super tacky. During my relationship with Joey, we shared our interests. I invited him to try the hobbies I live, like camping and swimming, going out with friends, etc. We didn't talk a lot about money past the day-to-day stuff like picking a restaurant and having offhand comments like, "Let's go here. They have 250 beers and half-off burger sale." This month, when Joey asked me to show him how to get set up with the budgeting software I use, I thought I'd start by showing him how I use mine and some of its features. But when I was showing him the tool, he was really surprised to see I had $110,000 in investments, another $50,000 in savings, no debt, at a high salary. He asked me why I had been hiding that, and I said I didn't think I was. He said that he felt I was, for a number of reasons. I will make choices about what to eat and drink while out based on the deals. I will stay in cheap hostels or campgrounds when traveling to save money. I've often said that something isn't in the budget for me this month, but I could see if I could budget for it in the future. Which is true. I budget ahead of time and keep myself to that, to resist the urge to throw money around on impulse. Having to work it into a budget makes me a lot more thoughtful. It felt like all of that was disingenuous. That I didn't need to act like a sandwich that was $12 was way too much. That I didn't have to book the crappiest accommodations. That I didn't have to budget and prepare for a month for unexpected expenses. I felt like I was being honest and tried to explain that to him. That I was just living life like normal and not trying to hide anything. It felt like I was keeping a big secret. Am I the a-hole for having hidden/not talked about my financial situation earlier? Not the a-hole. He hasn't even been dating you a year, and you don't live together. He has no reasonable expectation to know how much you earn, much less judge your spending habits. Good on you for being frugal. Jumping onto top comment to say, I'm pretty sure Joey isn't mad at Opie for acting frugal. To be honest, I think he just wanted to spend Opie's money. I guarantee next time they go out to eat, he's going to want Opie to pay, and is going to get steak or something. Honestly, if you do look past this Opie and stay with him long term, I wouldn't trust him with my finances, or at least keep finances separate. Not a-hole. Not his money, not his concern.